Good afternoon, Toronto. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Eddie Bullen to Radioregent broadcast facilities on the KoolBreeze Experience Show. My name is Curtis Anthony. We're going to talk about the insights and the analysis of what the music is all about, also chronicle the vibe and magnify your brilliance. Pianist, songwriter, arranger, producer. Eddie Bullen is the multi-talented artist whose lengthy career has yielded an abundance of awards and recognition. From the album Nocturnal Affair to the most recent Spice Island, Eddie gives the audience a taste of contemporary jazz, flavored with Caribbean and Latin rhythms. Welcome, Eddie. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you, coming and taking the time to come down to the studio. How have you been?
Wonderful.
Great.
Always been my pleasure, my friend.
Thank you. And you bring an energy to the Radioregent broadcast facilities. Man, I'm sweating the studio with all these tracks we've been bumping.
Well, that's a good thing, man. Sweating is a good thing.
Yes, so how's those young men of yours, Trey Michael and Quincy?
And Quincy, they're wonderful. They've been, very supportive of their dad and
Nice.
always look out for me, which is one of the things that your offspring, you hope that they do for you.
Absolutely.
I always say, your offsprings is it's like songs that you write, you know what I mean?
Right.
You always hope that they go and blossom into the world.
Nice. And Eddie, you come to Radioregent station every year, so we can recap all those stories. Eddie Bullen comes to Radioregent and tells those great stories. In my humble opinion, he's the iconic, the Renaissance man. Your historical impact is significant in what you've made in the world. What goes through your mind when you hear your music being played at Radioregent?
Well, I mean, it's rewarding, especially, Regent is it's a grassroots organization or a project, which for me gets to a lot of the people who really know me and know that the struggles and that you went through. I mean, when I came to Canada, I lived just around the corner. So
Okay.
this area is really familiar to me. I know all the back routes and stuff like that. So for me, it brings a warmth to my heart, my friend.
Nice. And do you have an account of how many artists you wrote, produced, composed, and marketed for, man?
Yeah, you know what? And that came by, and I just give you a bit of a story with that. Is that I was doing a record for actually good friend of ours, Keisha went, and her son was in my studio, and he was looking around and just looking at all the records that I did, and I put some of the albums that I've done on the walls of my studio.
Okay.
And he counted and he said, "Mommy, that's 100." And she goes, "It's 100 what?" And he goes, "It's 100 CDs on the wall." And I stopped and I said, "What? 100?" Because I put them up. It didn't mean anything. The numbers didn't mean anything. I just sort of, had a little bit of a wall of fame. So I know that triggered me to go and try and figure out exactly how many albums I've produced over the years.
Okay.
After I was finished, I think to date is about 221 records.
Wow.
So it's a crazy body of work. But when you're doing it, you're not
Thinking about these things.
I'm not thinking about these things. I'm thinking about the artist that's sitting in front of me and how to get the product out and how to get it done in a professional manner.
All right. Good.
So, I mean, I think I should retire. I think I've done my contribution to the musical industry in Canada. So.
Man, you can't retire, man. There's so much good music inside your soul still to come out, man.
Yeah, I don't know. After 200 albums, what do you think of it? 200 albums with approximately 10 songs each, right? It's a lot of freaking music.
It is, and
but you know what? I loved every moment of it. And one of the things that I'm thinking of doing is doing a bit of a documentary with most of the artists whom I can find.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And just having a sort of recap of the experience in the studio working,
right,
with them. So anyway, that's a project that I'm thinking of.
All right. So let's review some of the stuff you did in 2019. You just came back from the tour of China. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, China was off the chain, my friend.
Okay.
Totally off the chain. And I'll tell you, I'll preface it by how that happened. I worked alongside the organizing committee in China in 2008, just for a company called IPATA, which we did some shows for the Olympics.
Right.
And I met a gentleman who was the representative for a company called Creative Artists, which is one of the biggest companies agencies in the world.
All right.
So he was a representative for them, and we worked together, and we became friends. And he suggested to me at just around 2014 that he has his own company.
Right.
And he wants to, do some kind of tour with me. And I'm like, you sure you want to do this, man? I play jazz, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to go over in China.
Okay.
But he insisted, and I yielded to his request, and I toured in 2017 with Andrew Stewart, Rob Christian, Otis Williams, and myself, and that went really well. And so he called me back again. He goes, "Listen, we need to do another one." So what I did is, at the time, Trey Michael, who is my youngest son, plays drums, decided to get his chops together, and he said, "Dad, I want to go." So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
With regards to the tour, we did 15 cities in China, which means we went pretty much everywhere. We went way down to the south of China where it was hot, and we went way up to the north where it was close to Russia, where it was, it was like Canada. So and we were treated really well. The audiences, most places are between 15 and 2,000 people in attendance. Played really wonderful theaters, and they were very receptive to all the stuff that we played. And they totally enjoyed it. We took photographs and signed CDs, and just met a lot of the people who came to the concerts, and they're saying, "Listen, we can't wait till you come back." So, which is a wonderful thing, when you can go to a country that's emerging so rapidly and make some kind of impact in terms of, really sort of introducing them to jazz and contemporary jazz, and doing it with my sons, I think for me, it was really rewarding, and they were very happy that we came. And there are some people who came back because we did it in 2017, like I said, and there were some people that we met that came back. People traveled from a different province to come and see our concert.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
it was wonderful, and just traveling to China and just seeing and meeting the people, and just hanging out, and just sometimes just going and checking out all the spots. We were able to go to the Great Wall of China, which is absolutely amazing, my friend.
I must
I think everybody I think that should be on your bucket list to go see that. When you think of the gravity of it, it's like over 600 kilometers.
That's a lot of wall.
Right, and it took 200 years to build. So when you think about those things, you think about the persistence.
Yes.
And that wall is built on the peaks of mountains. So just think of that, and it's about 5 stories high, and you can drive a car on the wall. So just if you could picture that, then you understand the gravity of that situation. And then we also went to Tiananmen Square, which is very well-known place, and the Forbidden City, which we did as well too. So, the spots that are, and I was very happy to do that with my sons, because at least, I can die and go to heaven right now.
I hear you, man. You've seen stuff.
Man.
You've seen stuff. Now, you did father and son duel in piano.
Mm-hmm.
The Beaches Jazz Festival.
Mm-hmm.
The Caribbean Jazz Collective. Love that.
Yeah.
Kensington Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Tour of China.
Grenada.
The Grenada and Canada 150th birthday. And the boat ride, my man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I look forward to this every year, buddy.
Yeah, that little cruise there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Arturo tapping on there.
Yeah, that was my surprise, I guess.
Yes. And who was the drummer? That young lady there.
Her name is Sarah Thawa, and
Thawa.
she is South Asian, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and she is a force, man.
Yeah.
Like, I met her at a concert that I went to, and I remember, just kind of talking to Lornell, and she was standing in the wings, and Lornell was just, sticking up to me, pointed to her, he goes, she's no joke.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, cool. And so it was a point that I needed a drummer, and I hired her, and she came and tore it up.
Yeah.
This girl is like,
she tore on the ball. I go, wait a second.
oh yeah, she's tiny, but she can hit that drum.
What blew me away with the power, how she strike the drums.
Yeah, she plays like she. The thing is, she grew up in a musical family, so her dad, I think, plays as well too. So
okay.
I think that's kind of where she got all that drive from. So, and then it was wonderful to have Lornell on board as well too.
Always, man. One day I think Lornell, he's so powerful beating the drums. One day I think he's gonna burst these skins of the drums.
Yeah,
he's so powerful like that. You can feel the vibration when he hits from a distance away.
Oh yeah.
Big and strong, and the force and the energy that comes with it.
Yeah. And he was able. We were trying to figure out exactly how we are going to set the evening up with Lornell, because he had his new record out,
right.
And he was doing a lot of promotion on it, and his band was touring. And we thought of just having him integrated into my band, but when I, myself and Andrew Stewart had a discussion, and he goes, "Eddie, just bring the guys on." So that's why Jeremy Ledbetter and and Elma Ferreira, who plays with him, and then the rest of the band was Andrew Stewart and Rob Christian, who was on the cruise already. So that it worked out really well. I mean, sometimes you trigger these things and you have no idea how they're going to fall in place, and it fell in place. Like, this cruise fell in place so well with Arturo there, and Liberty's always, she's going to be always there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's sort of a little bit of the maitre on the thing. So
right.
Yeah, man. It's always wonderful to see how people enjoy it and how they look forward every year to having that cruise. So I don't know how I'm going to top this next year.
The bar, when you raise that bar, buddy, you'll find a way.
Yeah, and I have a little thing in my pocket that I'm going to do.
Good. Now, the Caribbean Jazz Collective.
Yeah.
Man, that band is so rare, but when you see them, it's just, the energy is just explosive, man.
Yeah.
Any idea when you guys might be getting together again?
Yeah, I know. You know what? We're all doing stuff all over the place. I mean, Andrew's traveling, and everybody's doing so. But we want to make make a concentrated effort to do some shows next year.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And part of it with me too. I have all these albums coming out and different artists.
Right.
And just working in the studio sometimes is really challenging to get out and play.
Right.
And to just balance those two things, you have to be. I mean, I have to be really coherent. When I'm working in the studio with artists. So sometimes after playing, or touring, sometimes it just takes a toll on your mind.
Man.
So, but.
And then you've got so much other things on your plate to take care of.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. We hosted the. I thought, let me throw a curveball at Eddie. We hosted Eddie Bullen's birthday party on the radio and had him call in. What was your impression of that?
That was crazy, man. That was wonderful. I mean, I thank you so much for
You're welcome.
For doing that, and it's after a while, after a while, you've been on this host for a while. Birthdays are not, a big thing anymore. It's always for your offspring, your children.
Right.
So it's I thank you Curtis, for making it special for me.
Thank you. No problem, man. And tell us about your project entitled Kaleidoscope. What's your concept of composition when you produce this CD?
Well, when you're producing a new, or you're getting prepared to do a new offering, you try to not do carbon copies of the ones that you've done before.
Right.
However, you want to really have the one before be a springboard for the new one.
Right.
So you can't go too far, but you have to. It's a bit of a balancing act, and for me anyway. And being a producer, you produce a lot of different genres. So the Kaleidoscope is sort of getting a little funkier than previous records. Sometimes you kind of dabble in the funk, but this one I went in a bit hard, in terms of sort of reaching back to the 70s.
Yes.
And doing some funkier stuff. Lornell played on it, and Andrew, all the usual suspects,
right?
And musicians. So for me, it was at a certain point you go back to your childhood, and because some of those are so poignant, those memories are you can sometimes just smell the aroma of where you were, yes, just from a track, So that's for me, what I did with Kaleidoscope. I sort of reached back to the stuff that I used to, some stuff from the 70s and 80s.
All right.
Just
right. Explain the track Esplanado.
Esplanado. Well,
there's something there.
Yeah, man. I wrote that track, and again, it's sort of reminiscent of like George Duke and Jeff Lorber and all of those guys. You know what I mean?
Heavy hitters.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what you grew up kind of listening to, and it had this kind of Latin vibe. I mean, growing up in the Caribbean, we'd listen to, a lot of some Latin stuff. So, but I wanted to be funky as well too.
Right. So.
When I was finished this track, I was like, this is kind of, I had to make up a word, and I made up the word Esplanado, because it felt, it had the sunshine in this track.
Yes.
And then the last person I put on this was a singer by the name of Michelle White, who wonderful tone, and she has that kind of almost, Latin kind of flavor to it. For example, Tanya Maria has that same kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Samba.
Yeah, that
Brazilian.
Brazilian. So that was one of my favorite tracks. It just drives from the top. I actually had a friend of mine call me from California. I said, yeah, and he said he bought it off of iTunes, and he turned it up in his truck, and he was going to listen to it, and it has that feel in the bottom. He said, man, that shit just took my head off.
Nice.
So
nice.
Anyway, but for me, that's one of my favorite tracks.
All right, Eddie, you have an incredible eye for talent, man. You always seem to discover these musicians, man. What's the deal there with Jeremy Hector, man?
I know, man.
I had him in the studio a few weeks back. Thanks a lot for hooking that up.
Yeah, Jeremy is, one of the things that's dear to my heart is that I reach back to the Caribbean, Grenada, where I grew up, and it was so challenging sometimes to just, get records, see, anybody, see somebody like George Benson just play. It was very rare. So, and I know sometimes how challenging it is to live in a country where you don't have the exposure, right, or you have the exposure, but it's unattainable because right, those you see it on YouTube, but you can't get to play with those people.
Okay.
So I did a show in Grenada, and when I got there, everybody was saying, "Listen, man, you gotta hear this kid, this young man Jeremy play guitar," and I'm like, ah. And I remember vividly a friend of mine, Champy, he said, "You gotta come out and check this out." And sometimes I go, but they'd have to, I'd go screaming and not really wanting to do it. And I went, and I was blown away by the caliber of musician that Jeremy is.
Yes.
And the band that he was playing with. I couldn't believe. That sounded like I was somewhere in North America or Europe just listening to a great band.
Yeah.
And I went up to him and introduced myself. And we didn't had too much communication, but I subsequently, I think about a year after I went back, and I really reached out to him, and I said, man, you know, we got to do a CD for you.
Yes.
And he jumped at the opportunity. I said, you got to write some more songs. At the time, he had 3 songs. I'm like, you got to write some more songs, and then I'll bring you to Toronto and we'll record the CD. So that's exactly what happened. He went in and started recording and just started flooding me with tracks. He was determined, and I'm so happy that we released that record. And it's, you know, I mean, we have like over 800,000 spins on Spotify, which is, you know, for a track that was released in the middle of May.
Right.
I think it's done really well.
Right.
You know.
Great. Now, how do you get that rich sound? How long did it take to acquire that smoothness in terms of production?
There's a lot of trial and error, my friend. You know, but the thing is, I've been my first album I produced as I was like 19 years old. You know, somebody gave me, you know, thought I could have done it and gave me money to produce a record. And I still have that album, but you know, it's just years of working on different genres, working with different musicians, working with different artists, singers, instrumentalists, just and feeding from them as well too. You know, you have your ideas, you have the trajectory of where the record should be, but they come with their ideas as well too. So we have to morph those 2 ideas together. So sometimes in doing that, I find new things, or sometimes the artist would ask me to do something which is kind of ridiculous. Yeah. But I'll oblige and I'll figure out a way of doing it, and sometimes I learn something from it. So I put that into my arsenal and my repertoire. So when other artists come, you know, I could use little things that I've learned from just somebody who's suggesting a crazy idea that we've made it work.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Yeah. How do you continue to keep that creative edge, that dynamism with your music? It's fascinating to me, man.
Well, again, yeah, it's a lot of years, you know, trial and error, and just, you know, staying true to the industry and listening and you know, because there are a lot of young artists that's coming out that's doing things that's different, you know, or you know, you listen to Snarky Puppy, right? They came out and
different sound.
Yeah, what they've done is they've used something from the past,
right?
You know, like so that the record sounds like something that we used to listen to, you know, in the 70s,
right?
You know, but what they've done with it is they've morphed a whole bunch of little things together. So, you know, or Lionel's record, Lionel Lewis's record.
Yes,
like the way
that is incredible.
You know what I mean? The way he wrote that record. Yeah. He's taking some old stuff and morphed them with some new ideas. So, for me, I always have to listen. I always check out new artists and listen to them and just try and see what they're doing and how they're implementing. There's actually a new band out of Montreal called Anomaly.
Okay.
Sure, those guys kicking butt, man. They're really, really cool band. I went to see them. They were in town sometime earlier this year. Right. So that's a nice little thing that you should check out. That they have.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Now, Eddie, some musicians say there's no music industry. That's a myth. How does that enhance or enlighten your perspective?
Of course, there's a music industry. It's just evolved, like anything else, you know, like style and fashion, you know. Sometimes, you know, we used to wear bell bottoms, right? But now we don't.
Thank goodness.
Right? But and that's kind of how it is, you know. The industry has evolved, and if you don't pay attention to the trajectory and the evolution of it, then you get still like everything else. You know what I mean?
Quite true.
True. You know, like you know, some people never embrace the internet, and so they
get left behind.
Left behind. Businesses fail because of decisions that they've made. For example, there's a story like Blockbuster, right? We used to have Blockbuster before, right?
Kicking in the days.
Kicking. And the guys from Netflix, they went to Blockbuster and wanted Blockbuster to buy Netflix. And Blockbuster said, that's never going to work. Wow. And chased them away. And hence,
look at the
right. So, and the reason for that is because of foresight. You know, sometimes you have to just kind of take a chance on something. So
right.
For me, that's kind of what I do.
Right. Every major city in America has a distinctive sound. How would you describe the sound of Toronto?
I think, well, I mean, with regards to pop music, Toronto has a sound now, right? You go to the United States and they say, listen, can I get that Toronto song? Right? So Toronto has a sound. With regards to even the jazz stuff, like what Lornell's doing, like what he brought to like Snarky Puppy, that's a Toronto sound. You know what I mean? He had there several things that he's done that drummers around the world now are copying. That stuff that he's learned here, and people see it and then they expand on it. Yeah. So I think we definitely have a Toronto sound.
Okay. Building a recording studio, they say the sound has a tendency to fool you. Explain that, please.
That is a situation that, like with any room that you have, the room has a certain sound.
Okay.
So what you want to do is to make sure that you have what we would call no standing waves, and the room has to be flat, and the room has to be uneven, and it has to have what we call diffusers and absorbers, so it'll absorb the sound. Right. So what happens is sound is like it's like kind of like water. Like if you throw it against the wall, it'll come back at you. So you have to put stuff there that it'll diffuse it.
Right.
It won't be slapping you back. Like sometimes you go in a church and you can hear that the sound, because of the sound of the church, how big that is, that you're getting echoes and all of that stuff. Yes. So in a recording studio, you do need. There's some rooms that has that sound. Like there's some rooms that you will record drums in, and it just has a beautiful song. All you have to do is put the mics up, so the reverb and the delay of the room makes that sound. So sometimes what you have to do, when with small studios and home studios, you have to recreate that sound with effects. So what happens is you can get fooled because the sound is coming out of the speakers, hitting the back of the wall, coming back at you, and all of a sudden you end up putting on more bass or more treble or taking off a bit more, and it's because of the sound of the room. So sometimes it's a good practice to listen at a really low volume, so that the room doesn't add its color to what you're listening to.
Because I watch a documentary on Muscle Shoals, and that studio down in Alabama, Mick Jagger, all these great guys, Jimmy Cliff used to come and record there. This is something about a sound there, and they pay the money. They leave all the big recording studios in Europe and go down to the backwoods down there and record it, because it created a sound with the lakes and where it was situated. It was just unbelievable. You couldn't get it anywhere in the world. Yeah,
and once you get that sound, you can't move, man.
Yes.
It takes you a while. If you move, sometimes if you move anything, it'll, or even get a new piece of equipment, it'll change the sound.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, it's fickle. Like when you get it, you get it. And you just stay there. Nobody gets hurt. You just don't move. And nobody.
I like that. Nobody gets hurt. Man, I'm Eddie, man. Do you have an educational component for young and upcoming musicians? What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, well, I've run for years. I've run a co-op program with the York Regional School Board.
Nice.
So there are many students who showed an interest in the arts, and some component of it. And usually a lot of young people want to record, they want to be producers, they want to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And many of them have gone into the music business and doing really well.
That's good.
You know, so and I think I've, you know, each year I'd have one or two students a semester coming in, you know, every day into the studio and working with me.
All right, that is great because they all need mentors and people to help them out in the journey. Eddie, how do you ignite innovation with music?
But I think it's a thing that's married to music, you know, with all the, for example, you know, back in the 70s there was the 60s there was the B3, and then in the 70s there was the Fender Rhodes, and then the Mini Moog, right? So it always marries, like technology would always marry music, you know. I mean, one of the first things that people started doing with file sharing is downloading music. So again, that's technology with music. I mean, it impacted us negatively because we weren't making any money. But again, that's technology that's impacting with music. So now you can buy a computer and just have some apps, and you can create stuff. So again, that technology, and now with technology, you don't need to buy CDs. You have a subscription from Spotify or from Apple Music, and here you can get all your music. So that's again technology that changes the trajectory of how you make music and how you access it.
Right. Do musicians still have a cabaret card or a union card?
Yeah, we do. The musician union is you know embedded into our DNA, and what the union does is there are a couple of things that they, for example, they will fight for us in terms of, especially now with all the new technology. They will be a lightning rod with regards to making sure that there is legislation that's passed that will impact us in a positive way. You know, I'll give you an example. For years, you know, the law for collecting royalties, it was for music that's broadcast through the air, right? So, but if you remember in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, you put on your TV and then you go to the high channels and there's music or there's programming or there's much music and all of that stuff. Well, we weren't getting paid.
That's incredible,
right?
Royalties and all that.
Because there was no law saying that music will come on a cable.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So people like the you know, organizations like the Toronto Union and you know, record companies, and they fight to make sure that the musicians get paid for a lot of these things. So for years we never got paid for that, and then when the judgment was passed, it was retroactive 3 years. So all those years were, you know, but again, so unions, the musician union and organizations, there are many organizations that are fighting to actually, there's a judgment that just went down a couple of months ago, where they were upping the revenue from streaming, and some other companies are fighting it.
Nice.
Right? The judgment was passed down, and
that's good.
We were supposed to get more
justice.
Yeah.
Justice will be served. Eddie, your band consists of Andrew Stewart, Otis Williams, Rob Christian. Very dynamic sound and energy every time I see them. What's the secret of keeping your band together?
Well, you know, it's just making the musicians happy and giving them or just having material that they enjoy playing.
Nice.
You know, so and everybody, you know, every musician has some of their favorite songs. You know.
Right.
Rob has his favorite. You know, You know, we'll be playing some stuff, and he was okay. When are we gonna play, you know, this particular song? You know, his song was it's a song called Glendale, and he's like, listen, like I'm ready.
Yeah.
So that for me makes the musicians happy because they want to dig in
Yes.
and show off,
Right.
and just being open to ideas as well too. You know, musicians, they come with different ideas, so I'm open to accept them.
Is there anything you haven't done with music?
That's a crazy question. I don't know. I gotta think about that one. I've done, yeah. Jeez. I mean, music revolves around me, and from the time I was a child, I grew up with my dad, who was a musician in a music store. So
Right.
it revolves around me. Yeah, maybe I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. All right. Now, if you could change a thing or two about the music industry, what would you change?
You get. I like to get paid more from my streams.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all.
You know, because it takes a lot, and yeah, I think, you know, some of those companies, but I think it's evolving,
Right.
and I think it'll get there at some point. But you know, sometimes nothing doesn't happen without a coordinated push.
True. This is true. Eddie, it's always a pleasure for you. We have such a great time. Tell the people, where can your music be purchased?
Online. CD Baby sells actual CDs, and Apple Music, you can download it from iTunes. So all my songs are on iTunes,
All right.
and all the downloading sites, I think, and streaming as well too. So, you know, Spotify
Right.
and yeah, all the Deezer and all of those.
How can fans find you on social media?
Eddie Bullen. Just put my name in
Boom.
Google, and everything comes up. You know, or eddiebullen.com, my website.
All right.
And, you know, Instagram now. Same thing.
Social
Eddie Bullen.
media is crazy now. It's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
It's all
Oh,
free.
yeah. And I try to keep active.
Right. That's the key.
Yeah.
Now, when all is said and done for you, how would you like to be remembered?
As a portal that people, that artists, you know, that use to elevate themselves.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's kind of really what it is. I'm just the guy that you sort of go through. You have an idea, you just go through me, and then it blossoms.
Okay.
You know, so I just think, yeah.
That is great. And wow, it's unbelievable, man. It's
Man.
It's the
Yeah.
journey of,
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah.
music, and friends in the States always say to me, without the radio station, you got nothing. Without the musician, you got nothing. Without the music, without the people going to buying the CDs,
Yeah, I would say it.
all have to come together.
Yeah, it's a consolidated
Yes.
effort. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So for me, it's everybody have their role to play,
Right.
and that's why I'm here, and that's why you are here.
Right.
You know, you
Thank you.
enjoy music, you love it, you are very passionate about it.
Thank you.
So it's like people like yourself. I've done a song, I put it out there. I want to make sure I get it to you, and I want to see your reaction. So your reaction today, it's rewarding. It warms my heart to know that,
Thank you.
man, I did that song, and yo, Breeze is jumping up and down. Yeah.
When I got that track, immediately I said, DVD, we gotta play this. I went to Jackie Vibes. Well, I'm the director there at that radio. He says, hey, you do whatever you have to do, brother. You're the boss down there. Frank Toohey in Britain, Mr. Melodic, Raymond Bowler Brown, Dr. Mambo, we all coming together like a consortium to really bring good music to the people and help independent artists globally.
Yeah, man.
This is what we're doing, and they love what I'm doing at Radioregent, because we're the only station where you can hear your music played consistently, hear song bites from you.
Right.
Talk about your event where you're playing.
Right.
Patch in a phone call every now and again at the radio station, hear yourself live. How better does it get? That's
Right.
old school radio at its finest.
Yeah.
And I tell them, at Radioregent, the number one thing, it starts with love.
Yeah.
And then we could move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Eddie, it's been a pleasure, as usual, coming
Yeah.
out to the Radioregent. Thank you for your correspondence.
No.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate your perspective.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Always.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.